We're here with former Representative Greg Walden of Oregon, and you have a very interesting background because your degree is in journalism and you actually owned radio stations.
Right.
So I want to talk about that. How did you get into the radio business?
Well, it was a genetic disorder. My father was in the radio business. I grew up around transmitters and towers. Started on the air when I was 15 and ended up, my wife and I, buying the business from my folks in 1986. We bought 2 stations, put another one on the air, bought 2 more over the course of 21 years when we sold them.
Did you have to develop that radio voice, or is it just natural?
It came with the radio face. It just, it's all one package. But no, I don't know.
Well, and that was back in the days before Spotify when radio was big. And describe what life was like then, because you were kind of an essential service for your community, weren't you?
Yeah, and I would argue in small communities especially, you're still an essential service because content really matters. How it gets delivered is changing, and a lot of radio stations, including our former stations, are up on the web. You can stream them and listen to them wherever you are, and so they're keeping pace. But it really is about content, and people are looking for content. And frankly, with the demise of local newspapers, there's an even bigger need, I think, for good journalism, good localism, and radio fills that bill.
Well, yeah, I was driving through rural Nevada and I had kind of a auction. It was kind of like an eBay on radio.
Oh, yeah, we do that too. Radio auction. We did it for a number of years. It was very successful. Helped in the times when normal advertisers are kind of after Christmas.
Yeah.
It's kind of when you do that because it's a trade deal and it works really well. A little cash infusion. It's great for consumers because most things sell for about half of their list value, and the advertiser gets advertising. So, hey, it's a win all the way around. We always had jam phone lines that go all day. You were kind of exhausted by the end, but it was very effective.
That's amazing. And from a business perspective, 30 years ago, George McGovern wrote an article saying he wished he had been in business prior to. You had that advantage of being in business. Right. What lessons did you bring as a congressman from that experience?
Yeah, I read that article from George McGovern. He went into the bed and breakfast business, went broke, I think. And he said, oh, gosh, all the regulations and rules and taxes, I wish I'd known. Well, I wish he had too. And so having met a payroll from, early on and, running tight cash flows, it was a small business. I mean, you make tough decisions and, everything's going along fine, then your best advertising account decides they're going to go print that month. It's like, no, you can't, because I have my whole budget. And so you really realize how to be a fleet of foot, smart in terms of advertising, and always trying to create the next thing and be innovative out there and be effective for your clients. And so, and cut costs. I mean, I learned to be I'll call it light duty engineer. As I said, anything high voltage, I brought in the real engineer. But I learned how to do things. My wife and I both did. And so you do a lot of things yourself. There, you don't step over a problem because there's nobody else to fix it when you're a small business owner. And so when I got to both the state legislature and then Congress, a lot of the decisions were pretty easy because they come from your head and your gut. And you go, well, that's stupid. Why would you do that? That's not going to, it's not necessary. It's costly. It's added regulation, something we already do. And so I think it really helped me be better prepared.
Well, and one of the bits of advice you had for the members here is invite your representatives to see your business.
Yes, because policymakers, whether it's state, local, or federal level, are dealing with tons of issues. They are not experts on your issue, most likely. 99% of the time, I guarantee you they don't know your issue as well as you do. And so we presume that they do, and they would just make the right choice because they should think like you do. Well, they're not you. So help them understand, invite them in, show them, have them talk to your co-workers, your employees, show them how the system works, what it takes, what supply chain problems you have, what competition you have, what federal policy or local or state policy really is affecting you, and then how it could be better. Because most of them want to do good, and so I think it helping improve their sort of educational reservoir is good.
Now, from your experience working with other members of Congress and so forth, do you think other members would have that same kind of attitude that you did, the curiosity of seeing how businesses work?
Absolutely, I think so. Some put more time into it others. Imagine that. It's like any other group of people. But most of them want to know, want to learn. They're interested, or they wouldn't be involved in public service. Because I think most people I know in public service had a keen intellect and desire to learn more about things and to solve problems. They may come at it from different approaches. They may come at it from different philosophies. They represent different constituencies in the country. But I think most all of them are there to try and get to the right place for their people. And the more you can add to the information pool, the better.
That makes sense. And speaking of information pool, it's real easy to add to the information pool with this, right? And you talked a little bit about that there's kind of not that delay of being able to give your input.
With the advent of social media, I think it's become a cancer on civility. And people react so quickly, and so they think they're anonymous, which I guess you sort of are on social media. So that unleashes a really nasty side in some people, that they get pretty vicious. And would you really say that in person? And I think what we've seen evolve over time is what you would never say in person, people started saying online, and now in person they kind of do it too. It's like I've had people say the darndest things to me, or nastiest things at times, like, did your mother know you talk that way? Because mine would never have put up with it. And so I think we have to think about how we act as a society. We are the government, all of us, you and I, it's us. I mean, that's what Teddy Roosevelt said a long time ago, and it's true today. And so I think if we want our leaders to be better, we have to be better too. We all have to work at it. We're a society, and we have different views. We need to respect each other's views, even if we disagree.
Well, that's a great way to end this talk, and I appreciate your time with the group here and with me right now.
Great organization.
Yeah.